one was before. Remember this show we mentioned that Chiza Besigye was coming to court. So he was denied bail again. And remember, we were all waiting. He was denied bail again. Again in the court, Eddie Mutu and the team were also in court this week, but something happened, and I mean they didn't go home, so they are still in the coolers. So I thought that I don't want to share good things, but that was something that disturbed me for the children and also our colleagues staying in court for long without. They are not. I think they are people for reasons that we may not understand. So that's what I really saw. But I got a very quick one. You say the leader of PLU, General Muhoozi, has suspended Ambassador Katunji because of what could have happened. And I saw you saying you are happy. But what about that you are presumed innocent until proved guilty? So if General Muhoozi suspends him, and probably it's proved that he was not, he wasn't involved. And remember, he's also a flag bearer in his area on NRM. So what will happen?
You see, good leadership requires action. We are dealing with a country, we all know the time they make a decision, they've done investigations. And a country that is a strong ally to Uganda in a lot of ways. Secondly, we have a huge community of Ugandans in America that believe in this pressure group that is advocating for good governance, for change in Uganda under the leadership of MK, which is PLU. It's a group with good ideals. So when any issue of this magnitude where its leader is accused, actually not accused, is indicted by our host countries with the diaspora people and a very, very strong development partner back home, then that creates a huge problem for us. You know,
and getting entertained, even while you're struggling. Faithfully, we are trying to move inch by inch, moving Uganda's interests. You could also call it a struggle, because we haven't gotten to our goal. But going to a boat cruise, you've seen us with the Tukikube and others. I don't see a problem really with going out to and be entertained while pursuing what you're pursuing. It's just time off and taking and yeah, I don't see a problem with it. And I think it brings value. That at the bottom line, engagement alone is an outcome.
Yeah, but as a person who followed before I bring in Agaba, there was an issue of accountability that these leaders, one, I've had a complaint that if it is loop, normally they say it's the top leadership that comes. In other words, they don't involve the young one. I don't mean young in age, but the ones who are in low ranks. They don't give. Yes. We are here again. Good morning. Good evening. I don't know whatever it is. Agawa is in Indiana. I don't know that it is at night or in the morning. Chugun is somewhere there in Pennsylvania. Oh my God. So hi guys, how are you doing? We are here again, our weekly news roundup. So today I have the usual suspects. The CEO of Tukikube Media, the only one, Salongo Chigwendo. You want to salute our viewers?
Yes, good morning, Godfrey, and our viewers around the world. As always, Salongo Chigwendo here. Not this time, not in the Midwest. I like to say in the Midwest, but I find myself on the East Coast today. I am visiting this town for something that perhaps I'll talk about a little bit later. But good to see you both back here, ready to dive into the topics. And I am excited. I can't wait.
Karibuni, karibuni. Agaba, Bobby, the controversial man. What's up? What's up?
I'm not that controversial. Good morning, our viewers, wherever you watch. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching us from. We are here again to share with you what happened in the news for the last 2 weeks. There's been a lot that has been going on. Last week was a very special week for me. It was my birthday. I had a great time with family, missed out some few friends, and those who sent me birthday wishes, I thank you. I feel much younger than I was before. So I'm grateful to be here with you and share some few issues that are happening around us.
You know, Agaba, when you talk of your birthday, we had agreed as this team as the weekly news roundup team that we give you a surprise, and it was handed over to the CEO of Tukikube. Did you get any envelope from? I mean, I know. Did you?
I sent a FedEx, but I think he wrongly interpreted it as scam.
Yeah, at the beginning, someone said that was a scam when they called.
So, Agaba, how did you spend your day, your birthday?
I went to work. It was a working day, and later in the evening, had dinner with family, the kids. It was a nice time. I have no regrets. My son, I didn't speak to him. I'm sure he must have been somewhere busy, but I think he's great. He's fine.
Any news from Indiana?
Indiana is good. We are seeing a lot of legislation coming out of the White House because we also have a White House here, the governor's residence. We're seeing a lot coming out. A lot of things are changing and hopefully for the better. So there isn't much. We're enjoying the summer because it's not here for too long. We're about to take a turn. And we all know what happens after summer. So we are bracing ourselves for the next season.
Do we have any Ugandan community in Indiana? Do you guys meet?
Yeah, we do have a small community here. And the majority of us, I think, are very closed in. We don't get out to do a lot of things. Very good guys and very busy. We all know what America is. There is no time to waste. It's very hard to congregate unless you have to sacrifice time off, but it's never easy. Anytime you take off, that digs deep into your check and you don't like it. So people are busy. They're here. They're come doing fine. No trouble. So we're good.
I know when I go to Chigund, of course, you're not allowed. He'll not agree with you because the Uganda community in Illinois last weekend had something that we have never seen before. So Chigund, before that, what takes you to Pennsylvania? Are you eating money, as we normally say? Did you go with
Pennsylvania? Pennsylvania, again, it is community. Trust me. Even though we work hard, and we rightfully so, it is the cost of living. It's not very cheap to live in this country and in these countries, in this part of the world. So we're always working, but we have to find time to socialize and take some time off and take care of ourselves. I'm here, again, a former member of the Ugandan community in Illinois, in Chicago, left because of work obligations and find themselves living now in Pennsylvania here, Pittsburgh area. This is someone who always, even had a couple of years now, now basically settled here. Whenever there is an event, community event in Chicago, they always hike, fly, drive, come back and engage in community. So it is engaging in community and is such an important thing. So Indiana, please, even though you are very busy, I think you ought to find some time to do these things. So that's why I am here, because their daughter finished high school, and we're here to celebrate that achievement. And the kid is going off to serve in the army. So, yeah. But again, but before that, the other weekend, we were at an outdoor picnic. The Ugandan community in Illinois always, has this event, an annual summer picnic, an outdoor where everybody put work aside, come together as a community, spend the whole day out in the woods, and we are barbecuing, we are eating and drinking and engaging and catching up. And that was great. It was graced this time by the ambassador, United States ambassador, Uganda's ambassador to the United States, Excellency Robika Kwange was the chief guest. And she reiterated the importance of us as the diaspora to Uganda today. She did go as far as saying that we are now, I can look at as a investment to the country, because we, in our remittances, today supersede what Uganda brings in form of foreign direct investment, which means money coming in from other interested parties, external parties bringing money in terms of to invest in Uganda. So our own remittances exceed what other foreigners bring into the country. And a valuable stakeholder to Uganda. That in addition to reminding the community, it is important to take care of themselves, be healthy. She also observed that she is a child born in Uganda, children of Uganda, left when she was little and with her mom, lived in Arizona, and but she never had community. She did not have what she saw, where we are out as a community and having a good time. So she marked and observed that hey, she didn't have it, and she thinks it's an important thing. So yeah, Indiana is, maybe you should join us in Chicago. Come to when we gather.
No, in Indiana, I think on my birthday, I forgot to say this. My fiancée took me out to have fun. One of the things, if I'd known, I would never have done it. My nephew came from Uganda 2 weeks ago. He's been here 2 weeks. We decided to go out and try out. I don't know how many of you have tried out the water slides. Is it the water slides? My brothers. I can tell you.
We're old school. We're old school.
If you don't have a strong heart, don't go into that thing. I regret. I didn't even know why I even went for it. I thought it was fun, but the moment they let me slide, man, it's like I died that moment.
That's it. It's not stopping until the end.
Exactly. There is nowhere you can hold anything. You just only close your. Guys, don't try it if you're above 40. Just that's not something for old folks like us. So it was a good Friday. There is a lot of fun in Indiana. There are a lot of places to see. I know Indiana is a conservative state, but there is a lot to see. We have one of the best universities in the world. Notre Dame is close by. So there are a lot of things you can tour, see, go to Indy, Crown Point. There is a lot in Indiana that you can do and see.
Lots of things to share. Thank you so much. Chugundu, as you conclude, I know there are many activities, but one of them that caught my eye was the medical camp, was that the outreach. And I'm one of the beneficiaries where they were testing people for free. It's something that is not, usually done. Anything small? How was the turnout?
Yeah, that one of again, this time around, the organizers allowed vendors and people to put up booths and either engage the community in favor of pushing their businesses or providing services. So one that they picked up interest, and you say you are a beneficiary, is a booth that was being manned by none other than Nalongo and her team. Nalongo,
oh wow,
and other kids. Yeah, they came up with something that they started last year called the Queen's High Tea Diaries, and this is a high tea event. It's a women event where women meet and talk about issues to do with women, okay? But because many of them are actually, my wife and her colleagues are healthcare practitioners. So they decided this time, as their Queen's High Tea movement, to come and provide free healthcare services to all the attendees at the summer picnic.
My advice, which I will follow until I'm okay. So
Okay.
weekly, the weekly news roundup is a program that we do every 2 weeks to make sure that we keep our members both in the diaspora back home, want to go through what made news in the world without bias, anything. We just give it to you the way it is. And, these are the usual. Salongo Chigundu, the CEO, then Agaba Babigumira is a political analyst. He falls everywhere. Talk about religion is there, politics is there, everything. So, colleagues, I begin with you, Agaba. I know we had so much that happened in the world, East Africa, everywhere. Is there that particular news that you feel two or three that you feel you want to share with us?
Yeah, a lot has been happening, especially on the global stage. Yesterday, we saw Putin and Trump meeting, and our hopes were so high to see an end to the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Unfortunately, we didn't see anything come out of that. The Congo massacre, we've also seen that. Back home in Uganda, we've seen more than 100 people pick nominations for the presidential race. We are seeing Bobby Wine and his team upping the game pressure, building up in the country. Then we also have other things on social media, like we are seeing how Uganda is performing in the CAN championship. Desire, who went home to hoping to have a spectacular wedding. An incident happened, sorry to her. That should never have happened. She collapsed. Then we also had an issue with our pressure group. I wouldn't want to call it a political organization, but PLU is Patriotic League of Uganda, is a pressure group meant to advocate for good governance back home. Unfortunately, our foreign ambassador had some issues, and we saw the General MK take a decisive decision, which we all applauded as good leadership, removing him from the operations of PLU, because our leader was indicted by the US on criminal charges of drugs and arms. We don't know how true that is, but we leave that to the judicial systems that are responsible with his crimes. But it was very unfortunate for our cause. He's an amazing guy. And
when you're talking about the guy, there are people maybe who may not know the guy.
Mr. Katunji Michael is a Ugandan politician, and he's been very vital in shaping the PLU narrative direction. Unfortunately, is right now on the wrong side of the law. And like I've said, I was very impressed with the General MK for a decisive action to take, because many times in Africa, there is a way such folks are protected by the establishment. As much as they may be friends, which I don't know how close they are, he made a very decisive action. He did not only remove him as the leader of the foreign, the diaspora team, but he also at home removed him from the organization PLU. So he sidelined him. And then also in the news, we are seeing the DC being taken over by the federal government. However, the police was also being taken over by the federal government, and we know always the city is always responsible for local police. But however, the judge has reversed that and handed the police, because they had the federal government had appointed the commissioner, but the judge has reversed that, and we are seeing the Attorney General handing over the police back to the city. So that was a good step forward, and basically we don't know really what is going on in Washington, D.C., and why there's need to deploy National Guards. Whether it was necessary or not, we don't have all the details. That's what basically that caught my eye in the news, and maybe Rwanda accepting immigrants from USA as a third-party country. Other than that, there isn't much.
Maybe before Chiguru comes in, you mentioned about Desire Luzinda. Desire Luzinda lives in the diaspora, and when you say something happened, what about our viewer who is a fan of Desire, or who was a fan of Desire? Can you give us just something small that happened to her?
I don't have all the facts. I just saw what was on the news, because I mean, Desire is a celebrity back home. So when she went back, definitely her wedding was to be publicized. So what we saw, we don't know what happened, whether it was fatigue, whether it was any illness. During their reception, she just fell. So we hope she's fine, she's recovered, and she's fine. That's my hope.
All right. We wish her quick recovery. Whatever happened, may she get a quick, recovery. Salongo Chigundo, your highlights, anything that caught your eye in the news?
I think those Bobby does a good job of picking interest in what I too was looking at, except he didn't mention that the community is looking forward to the very first bishop to be consecrated by the newly appointed pope. The new pope has made the very first appointment of a bishop here in the U.S., and it happens to be a son of Uganda. This bishop is going to be consecrated and seated in Louisiana, and that is coming up here in September. It's something that I'm watching and following, and I want to make sure that the community is aware of. What about the death of Mary Karoro Okrut? I think that is something that I also caught my eye, as well as the businessman Garuga. He's death too, so may their soul rest, may God grant them eternal rest. I thought those are things that caught my eye too.
Oh, thank you, Chigundo, and maybe for our viewers.
But on Desire, I don't know if you want us to discuss that now. We'll get into it later. But
no, but I just wanted that we can observe a minute of silence for those two gallant son and daughter of Uganda, because Mary Karoro Okrut, as a journalist, I used to admire her when I was a young man, and when she became a minister, this person was always composed. James Musingus Garuga was both a businessman and a politician. You would not know where he fell, but they are all gone, and we have to, just give a moment of silence. Then I can give you one of a minute. If there's anything you know about them, we can mention it. Then we'll go ahead. Just 1 minute, and may their souls rest in eternal peace. So, Chigund, anything you remember on any of them, just in 1 minute?
I would say Garuga. I always had Garuga. There's the whole geographical part of Uganda now, somewhere on Lake Victoria. I did not know. For some reason, growing up, I didn't put 1 and 2 together, and looks like this man had a great business acumen. Right, he was very good at an eye for money, knowing where and what is like.
I have to warn Chigundo that his network is not good. So either you will have to change the location, but we can't. Agaw, are you hearing him?
No, he's like frozen.
I think mine is on each other. Yeah, but when he comes back, we will hear from him. And you know, when he's he can't hear us. I know it's the network.
You have an airstrip.
We lost you a little bit. You hung. Your link hung, so we weren't hearing, or neither were we seeing you.
Your network is not well, Chugundu. I don't know where you are. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because issues, I apologize. I'm on the road. I'm in Pennsylvania. So I hope I'm back now. You can hear me?
Yeah,
yes.
I can see it here on my screen. It's on and off. So now it's stable, but it's on and off. We lost. We only come back when you're telling us about the airstrip.
Oh no, I was saying the businessman. I noted that the businessman did in his entrepreneurial quests had an impact on his community to where he invested in championed and oversaw the implementation of an airstrip that ended up bringing tourism and other such a significant contribution to the economy and the community, his community in Western Uganda. So I think that is it's going to go down as part of his legacy, and it is a great thing that he did.
And Maria Purut, anything you know about her?
Not much, not for her, no. But I know she was an important figure in society. She inspired a lot of women. So at least that's my remembrance of her, but nothing particularly outstanding other than knowing that she was a great contributor to Ugandan society and an inspiration to women.
Agaba, on the two departed comrades?
Other than may their souls continue to rest in peace. Unfortunately, we've lost two. They were not yet at the age to leave us, but unfortunately, none of us knows when our time will come. Unfortunately, they are gone. However, other than being public figures, especially Okrutu, I don't know much about Mary other than her being a minister and a former journalist. Otherwise, there isn't so much significance in terms of contribution to the community, because we have a lot of ministers. They will come and go, and it doesn't mean because you're a minister you contribute something. It's something that we feel, something that people see. And for Garuga, I knew Garuga a little bit when I worked at a casino. I was a young man from school, as I think in my early 20s. Yeah, he used to come gamble. He was a heavy gambler and a very, very rude man. He's a very rude man, by the way, very. But I didn't know much. I didn't know his source of income. I didn't know his businesses. And in a country where rich people crop up without you knowing what they do, I didn't really know exactly what businesses he did. Like how you can say we know what Elon Musk does, we know what Bill Gates does. So I know he was very wealthy, but if you ask me what did Garuga do, what were his businesses, I wouldn't put one or two and say this guy does this. He's in the category of Michael Ezra. Michael Ezra hit the waves. He became one of the rich guys, but if you asked us what Michael Ezra did, you wouldn't know. And we grew up with Michael Ezra on the same street, Bukoto Street in Kamocha. So when he hit, well, like, what does this guy do? Where did he get all this money from? Nobody could explain. So when there are people that are very wealthy, like the Mulwanas, the Mukwanos, the Madivanis, those we understand where their wealth is coming from. So I cannot put a lot of credit to Garuga to what he has contributed to the community. Like he has said, maybe the airstrip, whether he got it the wrong way or the right way, that I give him credit because it improves infrastructure in his area where he came from, and like it boosts tourism, trade, and other things. On that, I was very grateful that he was able to do that. I knew about that. Then his Garuga That's why he named his. I think he had in Entebbe somewhere where
In Entebbe, yeah, that whole part of
he
Entebbe known as Garuga,
and
yeah.
it became very
He had a
popular.
golf course there.
Yeah, it became a very good entertainment place for a lot of folks in Uganda. That's how the country actually got to know him more as Garuga. We are going to Garugas, and so other than that, I don't know
No,
much about these guys, and I wish them a peaceful transition, and may God, find mercy,
yeah, both of them were politicians, and they were deeply rooted in their villages. Like Garuga, if you want to know him, you go to Kanungu, where he comes from. He was a people person, and he was a politician. He did a lot, both in politics and business. So, but I'm shocked that a political analyst like Agava doesn't know about Garuga. Garuga was a very wealthy and a businessman. So,
yeah, he supported FDC. He was one of their biggest funders. But why I don't go into these guys, like I said, what is the source of their money? Are these the guys who sign under the table deals and use taxpayers' money to do what they do? And that's why you see I've been very strong against individuals like this who show up very wealthy but do not account for that wealth. So I knew he was funding FDC because he had issues with government where he wanted, actually, his support of FDC was blackmailing government because government owed him, I think, a lot of money. He wanted government to compensate him. So I don't know where that ended because it was in the news and they tried to speak to him because of his influence. Whether the government was able to bring him to table or not, I don't understand, because I saw later on it's like he had changed sides. So whether they settled him, I really have no idea because I don't want to speculate on that. Yeah, but he was a very controversial figure during his time.
okay. Thank you so much for your highlights. For me, my highlights, they are on, I would say bad, because one, I was touched. I'm sure all of you had the bus that was carrying young children who are coming from Atua and from Kasese Road. I'm told it was about 4 a.m. when it got an accident. We lost 2 children and the driver ran away. So what I was touched was, it has become a trend in Uganda that parents are asked money to, for those tours, and these are children. Sometimes they don't even know. But then these so-called school administrators, they get a lot of money from parents, and then before you know it, you hire one guy, I don't know what he was high on, and then, he causes this accident, which I'm told would have been avoided, and then he runs away. That was one. The other one was, before, remember this show we mentioned that Chiza Besigye was coming to court. So he was denied bail again. And remember, we were all waiting. He was denied bail again. Again in the court, Eddie Mutu and team were also in court this week, but something happened. And I mean, they didn't go home. So they are still in the coolers. So I thought that, I don't want to share good things, but that was something that disturbed me for the children and also our colleagues staying in court for long without, they are not, I think they are people for reasons that we may not understand. So that's what I really saw. But I got a very quick one. You say the leader of PLU, General Muhoozi, has suspended Ambassador Katunji because of what could have happened. And I saw you saying you're happy. But what about that you are presumed innocent until proved guilty? So if General Muhoozi suspends him, and probably it's proved that he wasn't involved. And remember, he's also a flag bearer in his area on NRM. So what will happen?
You see, good leadership requires action. We are dealing with a country, we all know the time they make a decision, they've done investigations. And a country that is a strong ally to Uganda in a lot of ways. Secondly, we have a huge community of Ugandans in America that believe in this pressure group that is advocating for good governance, for change in Uganda under the leadership of MK, which is PLU. It's a group with good ideals. So when any issue of this magnitude where its leader is accused, actually not accused, is indicted by our host countries with the diaspora people and a very, very strong development partner back home, then that creates a huge problem for us, because first and foremost, we do not want the US government to brand PLU as a criminal organization. Look at its leaders like they're involved in criminality. Then also blacklist individuals in the US. They may not commit any crime. They may not have even been involved. Majority of us are very innocent. But by association, the members could be investigated. And we all know how this country operates. Once you're on a list of interest, it could take years. It could affect your travel. That could affect a lot of things. So by the time you're cleared, you could be actually damaged. And in the current in this current administration, I think it would be risky for anybody to want to put themselves in this kind of situation where you're looked at as a suspect in a situation you don't even understand. So why I said that it was a very good decision by MK to act the way he acted. He protected the integrity of the organization, and also in a way protected the international, with the folks in the diaspora who are in support of his ideals and the PLU ideals, and then also gave credibility to the entire organization that once you're pinpointed for criminality, the US government definitely expected some kind of reaction from their partners. Because I don't think the US government woke up in the morning and said, you guy, you're this and this and this and this. Yes, we also believe in the rule of law, presumption of innocence until you're proved guilty. But you can't sit back and say, no, you've been indicted, but it's okay until they prove that you're really guilty, you can continue operating. There must be a level of accountability. We also know the time a US indicts someone, there has been a comprehensive investigation that has been done. So paving way for a proper process, I think, was the right thing for a right thing that MK did. For me, I welcome his decision, and I don't want to only see this decision with Mr. Michael Katunji. I'm not saying is a criminal or he committed the crimes, but unfortunately, out there, that's what is being portrayed. As leaders, I think you ask him to step aside because you're leading people and you're already being tarnished. So because of that, that allegation, asking him to step aside so that this does not go down, the entire organization does not go down with him, I think that was the right decision to also give him time to prepare his defense where necessary, because this could have totally destroyed the entire organization had the US gone ahead and labeled PLU a criminal activity. I don't think you and I would have wanted to be in that organization. So General Mohonzi's decision saved that by taking quick action, and that's a good quality in a leader.
Let me pick Chigundu's thought on this. Chigundu, we have seen the US come and put sanctions on Ugandan personalities. Right now the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda cannot step in the US. We have others like the Commissioner General of Uganda Prisons, Johnson Josh, and many others have been put on that list of not stepping here because of very many reasons. Now we see a businessman, politician, yes, I don't want to see where he belongs, whether PLU, but a Ugandan who has been indicted because of, dealing in drugs and whatever to Congo. What is your thought on this? Because Agaba says before the US does something, they have done thorough investigation. But you remember what happened to our speaker, what they were saying, this is this, this is that. What is your thought on that? Not necessarily talking about the personality of Michael Katunji, but generally, USA coming to indict citizens of certain countries because of those allegations?
USA acting as in furtherance of their own interest, or are they furthering the interest of the greater global community? In this case, it's an investigation of arms trade, right?
And drugs.
And drugs. On arms, we know that our region is very volatile with conflict. Any time powers like the US pick interest in those who might be contributing to conflict in our region, I would say maybe that would be, I would be interested in see what they are finding, and maybe I would support the action of taking out of action of those who might be contributing to conflict. I'm not saying he's one of them. I'm like you asked me to speak, generally speaking. But on innocence, of course, everybody has the right to until proven guilty. Well, as far as the organization is concerned, PLU, I don't know what it does in the diaspora. I'm yet to understand, and what are they pursuing in diaspora, and even in these other all Uganda's political actors. What are they when they go to launch these diaspora operations? What are they pursuing? Right? What is the interest in operating in diaspora? Are they looking for funding? Are they looking for support from the diaspora now that it is an important constituency, as everybody recognizes? What are they looking for? That is where my interests go, and I'm curious what PLU is pursuing, and among others in the diaspora in this space.
Can I respond to that? What we as a diaspora community for our countries, our respective countries, we in the diaspora, because we contribute a lot, like you said, we become a constituents. We become, like, first and foremost, goodwill ambassadors for our countries. Sometimes we represent our countries back home. Secondly, because we contribute a lot, we're a very, very, very big investment vehicle for our communities. And then because we are independent, we are free away from the laws of the land, we don't feel so much compelled to be intimidated or fear to speak out. So being out here as a Ugandan community, we speak freely by advocating for change. Where we see something is wrong, we speak out. We highlight some of these inadequacies in management. So the diaspora plays a very, very important role. And if abused, a diaspora can become very, very dangerous to a sitting government, because we also know Museveni had to rely on the diaspora when he was fighting the Rugundas, the Mama Mbabazis. Most of these Tivejinjas were in the diaspora mobilizing against the government. So there is also that element that you have to work with the diaspora, because most of the diaspora also has a connection to a host government. Now, in the US, knowing how critical and central the US government is to the Ugandan government, I think you have to handle the Ugandan diaspora, especially in the US and Canada and Europe, because that's a block, Europe, Canada, and the US, in a more like cautious way. Because if we erupt here, then US is gonna, because some of us have become citizens, residents, and some are still in the process of getting their documents straightened out. So we yes,
allow me to intervene, because Chigundu's question was, he was questioning what the PLE is and what they do, and that's what he wanted. But we may not discuss that. Maybe next time we can invite one of them to come and tell us what they do.
I'm part of PLE. Let me put PLE, because I'm part of them. PLE is a pressure group that advocates for changes within the movement. This is like a new pressure group mainly made up of the younger generation saying, no, a lot of things are wrong in the country. We don't believe in what the mainstream movement has been doing. We want to see a few things change. As much as our leader is a son to the movement leader, there are certain things he also doesn't agree with, like corruption. You know, he doesn't agree in that. So he says, no, if you have your folks who are involved in this, no, for us, we are going a different way. But when our time comes, that's what we want to usher into a new Uganda. Because we also look at what our our fellow young people in the opposition, what they are advocating for. We also advocating for the same. But the only difference is our relationship to the ruling party. But within the ruling party, this group is saying, no, we are patriotic. We want to see a better Uganda. We want to see a few things change. And that's our direction as a pressure group. We are not a political party, but we are within that party trying to advocate for a transformation of the party from the old party to a new party, whether it remains the movement, but we are just advocating for change.
Okay, yeah, I'm interested, like you said, maybe we bring in these those who are leading in the diaspora operations, because I'm interested in living in the diaspora here. I see PLU has launched. I've seen activities of political parties. The one that is most visible to everybody is the National Unity Platform. They hold annual and continuous for the last 3 to 4 years, an annual event. I don't know what the other parties are doing. I've always wondered. The National Movement, FDC, and others, are they involved in mobilizing the diaspora at all? If not, why not? But I see the National Unity Platform and the PLU. So now I'm interested. What are they pursuing? What are they pursuing? So I hear you, but we'd like to hear even the others. So I agree. Maybe we need to bring those who represent them if they'll be willing.
Yes, what we had agreed is we wanted to bring these folks, different political parties in the diaspora, to tell us what they are doing. So I think one of them will be PLU. No, they will be coming to talk to us, and that's when they can tell us who they do. I mean, who they are and what they do. But quickly, since we are now talking about the diaspora, and one of you, either both of you, mentioned that Bobi Wine and his team, well, they were around in the region. First in Canada, then USA, and the convention ended the other week. My main concern was on the way the new leader was welcomed, both in Canada and in Boston. The welcome was so huge, overwhelming. When you look at both Canada and in America, one wonders even whether PLU exists or NRM, any other party. You think that is the only one. So, but the question I want to put to both of you is, yes, I know these are annual conventions, but you, Chigundu and Agaba, do you really think that these leaders, Bobi Wine, whatever that they come to the diaspora, is there anything they bring or get out of apart from, dancing and talking, is there anything significant that comes from this? Right now, PLU is doing, NUP is doing fundraising. So was the convention part of the fundraising? Because I know Chigundu, you followed it and you are reporting on it. So we can hear from you, then we go to Agaba.
Yeah, this is a question that's continuously being put to them, and I see the leaders responding, saying that, hey, we have to just, even the political actors here in the United States do hold fundraisers, because just to repeat what you just said, someone actually questioned, hey, why are you going to party, boat cruise and such, while the people that you're trying to fight for are suffering back home?
Bleeding. Ugandans are bleeding.
Right? And the leaders are saying, look, this is actually a legitimate way to engage in political organization. They cite Democratic Party and others here in the US hold fundraisers. You've seen Obama and others, in political events, the Clintons, where they bring people that they know into an event, into a room, serve them food, speak to them, and they get money out of them to fund their political campaign. This is also part of what they did in Boston, for example. I saw Waiso Mufumbiro going around fundraising in the room. It happened there. And whether it continues offline or that may be the case, but they're saying we're bringing people who are interested in engaging with their leaders, who they see from far. What is wrong with having them in a room, drink some wine, drink some food, dance, be happy, while talking about the issues that they feel deeply about, and also fundraise. They collected money. Mr. Kauma says that event alone raised them more than 100,000. So I think, as far as their publicly stated goes, hey, we come here to engage, meet the leaders, ask them questions. Many people in the diaspora, their supporters don't get opportunity to travel back home, but they come here. This is an opportunity to meet face to face, ask questions, and in this time around, the fundraiser was part of the activity. So what is wrong with that? That's what they're saying. Do I think there's something comes out of it? Well, they've raised money. How about engagement? Even on on the culture side, we engage people. We could just sit back and just call people and maybe send them mailers without bringing them into it. But we hold, every 2 years we hold an event, and the Katikiro travels, and whoever he's able to bring with comes to engage physically with the people. I think there is value in meeting and sometimes loosening up and getting entertained, even while you're struggling. Faithfully, we are trying to move inch by inch, moving Buganda's interests. You could also call it a struggle, because we haven't gotten to our goal. But meeting, going to a boat cruise, you've seen us with the Katikiro and others. I don't see a problem really with going out to and be entertained while pursuing what you're pursuing. It's just time off and taking and yeah, I don't see a problem with it, and I think it brings value. That at the bottom line, engagement alone is an outcome.
Yeah, but as a person who followed before I bring in Agaba, there was an issue of accountability that these leaders, one, I've had a complaint that if it is NUP, normally they say it's the top leadership that comes. In other words, they don't involve the young one. I don't mean young in age, but the ones who are in low ranks. They don't give them opportunity to come to attend those conventions. Like I would, without fear or favor, I would say, I've had people say, does it have to be Bobby Wine to come and attend these conventions? Why not bring other people? You hear Waisomu Fumbiro, Joel Senyonyi, they were saying, what about the lower cadres, the foot soldiers, who come and, because the people, actually, if I want to quote, I quote Munyagwa, who said, it doesn't have to be a president to go and drum support. Those are internal matters. But for me,
internal matters.
Yes, like the accountability, do they really get what they want? The boat cruise is okay, but the question is, if you're saying Uganda is bleeding, Ugandans are bleeding, now you come here, they see you dancing, does it depict what is back home? That is what I wanted, then we can go to Agaba. Agaba, I want also to combine all those questions. Yes, Chugunda, as you conclude.
Yeah, does it depict? Of course, I think it is. It's wrong to suggest that if one engages in a game of golf, for example, in Switzerland or somewhere, while there to meet people who might support what they're pursuing, is saying that everything is, there's no bleeding in Uganda because you're playing golf in Switzerland. Yes, for me, you can't. I can't make that comparison. I don't think anybody should even be suggesting that because I am in Pennsylvania here now for an engagement, that therefore there's nothing, there's nobody who is suffering in Illinois.
Well,
no. I think nobody should be, no one should be stringing those two together, because
we have to look at the context. You have to look at the context in which they bring that up. I think it's the context in which someone brings up that.
Well, yeah, I've failed to see anybody who brings it up. They always say that, how can you say Uganda is bleeding while you're out there partying?
But look at it this way, Mukulu Chigundu, look at it this way. This is an opposition leader who says the economy is collapsed. There is no rule of law. Everybody is, no money, no nothing. This is a guy who moves in a bulletproof car. This is a guy who sits on a 7-acre piece of land. This is a guy who has taken his kids. They came to the US to study when he was a party president. This is a guy who travels almost every other day on taxpayers' money, not party money, because the government of Uganda, through iPod, gives these parties money, implying this money should go to Ugandans because it's their money for activities that help either through civic education to educate Ugandans on different electoral processes or the constitution or their rights and things like that. Instead, we are seeing weddings, expensive gifts to their
family. Do they have their personal wealth?
No, that's what we're coming to. When we all know this is no secret, when Bobby Wine was a musician, he wasn't as wealthy as he is right now. He did own whatever he owned, and we don't know, other than Parliament, any known job that he has had, and whether that job could fund his lifestyle that he has today. And a political party, whether this money comes from your supporters or the government, you have a right as a leader, like you're asking the government to do, to account to your people, because we have young people in jail who are not being fought for by the party. Because you cannot tell me a party gets a legal firm to represent these young boys, and most of the lawyers in that legal firm have no practicing certificates. They get to court with no documents to defend these young men in jail. You're here in Boston, dancing, having fun. You don't even want the boys to be released, these young people to be released, because it's your kind of platform you use to mobilize funds. Our people are in jail. We are looking for money for lawyers and stuff like that. It's a known fact, because why wouldn't you be in the streets in Kampala demonstrating for your bodyguard who has been in jail on almost, I even feel trumped up charges, advocating for his release, building pressure, but you're on the plane to South Africa, you're on the plane with your leadership here. Yes.
I wanted just to come in and say, I always say that when a person is not here to defend himself, sometimes it becomes difficult for us to know how Bobby Wine flies, because it's like until we have an UP official here to tell us, for instance, is it the party that funds his movements? Is it his party?
Yeah, there's a lot that we don't know. You can't.
No, whether it's the party, if the party funds it, we know that's taxpayers' money and good well-wishers. They fund that for the party. So the party has an executive. They have a secretary general, they have a treasury, they have all these people who are supposed to sit down and put money. If I was contributing, I wouldn't contribute money to my leader to have a wedding, to go have fun with other people bought cruises when we're suffering. I wouldn't do that. But let's look at their travel, because I reacted to him. But when you look at their travels to the US, Canada, and all that, first and foremost, let's agree. All of us are frustrated, whether I'm movement, whether I'm FDC, whether I'm NUP. A lot of people of our generation are frustrated. We are frustrated with what is happening in the country, and we are looking for alternatives. Now, the question is, Bobby Wine with his Noop shows up because he's a popular guy, he's known, he shows up on stage, he's welcomed by Ugandans, hoping maybe he's going to rescue them. He's young. Now, him coming here, we are seeing the Noop diaspora. That's something that we failed to talk about. Noop diaspora, we see almost 95%. 95%, we all know, majority of them were not Noop back home. You'll even ask one to produce a picture when he was in Noop back home fighting. They will not produce it. But we all know you can't come to America and you want to straighten your papers on asylum and you're going to advocate that you're a PLU or you're a Museveni or you're any lesser party that does not have influence. So everybody has to hang on a party that is very popular against Museveni. But I think one thing that many of these Ugandans who are here are missing out a point. They are dealing with very powerful countries that have very good investigative structure systems. Why do I say that? We saw European Union drop funding of NOP. Secondly, when he comes to America, who does he talk to? If he was legitimate, we would see the government of the United States invite him at higher levels to engage him because he's a potential leader that is likely to take over. But what we see, he comes to one area, Boston. There are bigger places like other states in the US or other countries around. We don't see him going to Kenya, Tanzania, and everywhere.
Oh, he was in Chicago.
Yes.
He was in Chicago.
So
wherever the event is where they go.
Let me build my point. So we see 95% of Ugandans here using this as a way to help, which we support if they succeed to get their papers straightened out. But at the end of the day, I also don't believe that 95 believes that this group, what we see with no alternative government or structure, that these are young people you can hand government today to take over. Because look at them, their party president is running for president, their secretary general running MP, then you have their treasurer, and everybody is running for an office. They don't have a structure like saying, these are the people I'm going to run with. Then, like I already asked, who does Bobby Wine talk to when he comes to America? Yeah, he travels, but who does he talk to if he wants to influence change? We Ugandans, let me make this clear, we Ugandans, whether we are involved or not, we do not influence elections back home. Whether we vote or not, whatever happens home will happen home because the majority of the voters are home. Majority of us here, like again, 95% don't vote. We're not involved in the voting, you know. So at the end of the day, I want someone to convince me what is the significance. Like Godfrey asked, if it's fundraising, you have to have the president every day, the new president every day flying here when there is so much at home to be done, like advocating for the release of people like Besigye and his party members who have not been released. Some of them have disappeared. What are you doing? You should be on the streets of Kampala advocating for that, like we are seeing in DC, where people are on the streets advocating for return of their city under their local leadership. So these are things we want to see from our leaders in the opposition. And also there has been rumors. When did Bobby Wine become a friend to Rubongoya, Katana? So the questions are so many, and when we see what is happening, it leaves a lot to be desired.
I wanted to bring you
last 5 years. Who can tell me the last 5 years what Hope done significantly to oppose bad governance in Uganda? We've seen
you make a point, but the problem
let me finish this. We've seen Semuju Nganda highlight very important issues. Why hasn't the opposition joined him to pick up on some of these issues that concern mismanagement of national resources?
Agaba, as I said, you have many questions that need answers. And I can answer them. That's how I said, let's put ourselves on my question to the dais on the conventions that we had. Now, anything concerning Bob Wine's travels, his wealth, we can invite any of his team to come and they answer you. But now we are going to answer. I ask and we will not get answers. And we don't want to say Tukikube, we claim, I mean, no, we don't want that. All we
No,
need.
they have an opportunity to comment. They can respond.
They may not. We would rather invite them, as we had said. We want to bring these guys to be talking to us. But for now, you will ask valid questions, but you won't get answers because none of us knows. So I want us to, come back to the convention that was here. We were saying, really, when these leaders come, what do they come? Accountability. That was my interest. Now, the rest, that one we can always bring any of them to answer them. So it was.
When you say accountability, who are they supposed to account to? They account to their members.
Yes,
No,
the party.
no, the government of Uganda through iPod gives them money. So means, listen, that's part of my tax as a Ugandan. So if I pay tax through iPod, I think it's fair. Like Honorable Nsereko said, he does not support these parties getting taxpayers' money. And I think Museveni has used that to further actually weaken the parties. Now, the parties, instead of focusing on the bigger picture, all of them are now focusing on this money, the iPod money. The fact that the taxpayer funds these parties, I think there is an element of public accountability to the taxpayers. So this arrogancy of saying we don't account to anybody, then why are you asking people for money to run activities in their interests?
For that reason, I am going to go away from this topic because we may not end. And since we don't have anybody to answer, I just want to, because most of you mentioned the nomination of the presidential candidates in Uganda. I mean, people, not candidates, but aspirants in Uganda. Right now, our viewers who are not Ugandans who have interest in Uganda, next year, Uganda will be going into elections. And we have, so many people have, picked. We are not talking about the local elections, we're not about parliamentary, but the presidential elections. Now, as of the other day, over 100 people had picked nomination papers. So when I looked at this, and you look at people are making analysis, people are saying, does it mean that the presidential campaigns, the presidential ambitions in Uganda have stooped so low that even a border guy says, I can be the president of Uganda. Now, I wanted to pick your mind on both of you because we are talking about, political heads moving in different, countries and continents to solicit for money, to solicit for support. But back home, we have an important activity that is taking place. I am told Katumba has also picked papers and many others. So I want to know from you, does it mean that really people were saying that these people, some of them are being funded by the government? I don't know. I want to pick your views on that. Do we need over 100 nominate people to pick? If each one goes, I mean, if we bring the signatures, what happens? Because when they return, there will be candidates. Now, out of 100, we don't know how many are coming back. So I want to give the viewers your views on the drama that is going in Uganda. Chegunda, I can see want to begin.
Yeah. So when the expression of interest, they're going to pick up, will they have time and resources to meet the other requirements for them to make it to the ballot paper? I don't think even, let's say, even 95% of those who have picked up will be able to make it to the final ballot paper, meaning they will not be able to get all these other requirements, including the so many signatures that you have to collect around the country and all of that. So I'm looking at
one of them is required to collect 100 signatures per district. I mean, about 96 districts of Uganda.
Yeah, I don't think they will make that bar. So at this point in time, I look at it as a population expressing something, meaning perhaps they have not seen any change of government. Now everybody thinks like there are those who have grown up, who are born and grown up, have only seen one president. They have not seen any kind of change at a presidential level. Now they're curious, they're just exploring, let them engage. It's not an indication of a downgrade. It's a downgrade in our political civic life, meaning it is becoming something that people think that they can just play with because they have not seen anything change. This is all they have seen, one president since they were born, majority of the population.
But my question would be, Chigundu, That's because we've had only one president for the last 40 years. It should be the reason why people should even fear that seat. But now,
No, no,
we
they
are,
think it is not. It's not a question of fear. They are actually expressing the opposite, meaning why shouldn't we have some change? Maybe I can do it. I saw a young girl who says nobody is going to change this situation for them. They have to engage themselves, right? So instead of fearing, actually, now it is causing people to say, what is it? Why shouldn't it be that? Why can't I? I can also go and be president of Uganda. We should see change. It is attracting them towards engaging with that process instead of the opposite, in my view.
Agaba, you do really need over 100 people to pick the nomination forms.
You don't need to, but the process is such, they know they will not get to the paper, but now they're making a statement that, hey, we are not many of us here who can become president, whether young or old.
Yeah, but when you see this, first and foremost, who benefits from all this kind of mess going on in Uganda? Who benefits most? It's one person who's benefiting from this. First and foremost, most of these candidates who are picking up proposals, if you ask them what is, papers, what is your proposal for the country? What is your agenda? What's your manifesto? Most of them don't have. And I agree with you, gentlemen, very few will end up on the ballot paper because many of them are not going to meet the bar. But to Mr. Museveni, this is a score on his political scorecard because it shows democracy is growing in Uganda. Many people are interested in this and they are still very fine. They can still oppose the leader and, so to him, democratically is benefiting. Then also the money that has been involved and lack of employment, these graduates, many of these people are trying to market themselves, to use this as a marketing platform to show their capabilities, their potential with the social media and everything. So some of them are really not very serious, like I said. If you ask a lot of them, can you lay out your proposal or your agenda for the country, very few would come up with something that is tangible to us. Then there is also this element of some being fronts, which I think there could be some slight truth, because Mr. Museveni right now is at his weakness, but because of the divisionism, selfishness, and lack of focus in the opposition, they've made him stronger. After 40 years, a leader does not become stronger. He becomes weaker. Mr. Museveni knew that. And today, the country has a lot of money that is at his disposal. So getting a few people to flood the whole field is basically totally splitting the opposition vote. And Mr. Museveni has been very good at creating that. We remember in 2006, when we were forced, when the World Bank and international community forced him to go multi-party, parties like DP refused because they knew that was the catch for him, that they were not going to participate. But what did Mr. Museveni do? He created parties like the Ochegere and the rest who came in and pretended they were opposition. Elections were held. Museveni won with almost 60%. So Museveni is a very smart, strategic man. And I think a lot of these folks in the opposition have failed. Like Mao said, even Mr. Besigye, I quote those two men. They've said that man is extremely wise and very strategic. If you want to fight him, you read him, because he reads you. He reads you. An ordinary guy can't rule people for 40 years the way we are, and he's still going, and you think that guy is not wise. So he's a very wise man. But my question would be, if he was finding people to stand against him, then would he go for these border guys I saw standing, a 20-year-old? Why would he probably not go for the Chigundus of the world who are in the diaspora? People have money. I mean, there are people out there. He can say, come, I fund you. Then why do you bring a man like Katumba Oye, that 20-year-old girl, the guy who was coming on a border, I mean, riding a bicycle? I mean, do you think really, do you also buy that he does it, and then we have over 100 people to stand against him? Like I've said, that man is very strategic, is very smart. He has already seen that our society does not take serious people seriously. There are more align towards entertainment, drama. So that's what he gives them. Because he himself has lowered to himself to start to refer to young people Chaliwang. He never used that language, but he realized if you're to kind of fit in, you have to go that way. You see the people he has made presidential advisors, the people he has brought in. So he knows what people want, what this border wants. If you send in a Chigundu or you may not appeal to a border, but a border, even if he's not going to vote for, what did you call him, this guy, Oye? What's his name?
Katumba
Oye. But he knows Katumba Oye is likely to distract that border. And because of that distraction, then he lessens the pressure that is likely to have. Museveni is at vast age right now. He's going to get an easy ride. And I think Museveni is not looking at him as Museveni, Mr. Museveni, because Museveni has already won this election, whether we like it or not, because the opposition actually campaigned for him. However, Museveni is looking at a bigger project, I think, after him. What is going to happen? That transition should be smooth, because I think towards this election, he saw the pressure that was building. That pressure, if they had fronted another candidate that was not him, Ugandans are very bitter. Probably there could have been a change. So now what Museveni does when he sees you as opposition coming up and you're very strong, because we all know Mr. Museveni we are talking about, Mr. Museveni will never give space to an opposition candidate who digs deep into his constituency. Mr. Museveni's constituency is the peasants. So what Mr. Museveni does, he either infiltrates your camp or he fights you. But if he succeeds and infiltrates your camp, then he's going to let you do what you're going to do. First and foremost, internationally, you give him credibility, that there is democracy, there is opposition. He's not killing opposition. He's not doing this. That means he's a democratic leader. So he's a very smart guy. And I believe that the opposition has been its own disadvantage. Not Mr. Museveni. He has not fought them. The guy threw money at them. They all ran with money. Look at the opposition. Who are the richest politicians back home? Look at Senyonyi. Look at the property he has gained under Museveni's government. Look at Rubongoya. Look at Katana. Look at even Bobby Wine himself. These are some of the richest guys today in the country. But if you ask them again, like I said at the beginning when I was questioning Garuga's wealth, if you ask them, guys, what do you do for a living? Where do you get this money from? None of them can explain. You know, look at the parliament, the opposition that is there. When people tried the NUP, if you go back to these NUP MPs and you ask them in your constituencies, in the last 5 years, you came campaigning, you're going to fight this guy, you're going to change, you're going to do this. What have you done for us? Instead of them consolidating what they had and building on that, we saw them fighting each other. Actually, in one constituency, it's stupid at this time to see that the opposition alone has 8 guys fighting each other. That's not a group of people that are interested in removing a sitting government. I cannot be a party, and I know Godfrey, I know Mr. Chigundu are credible guys. They add credibility to my party, and I stupidly come and fight them. And you fail to read from Mr. Museveni how he has handled and managed to lead his party and keep everybody together. You think Mr. Museveni is working in government with people that he once fired. There are people that have called him out, that they've called names, that have been corrupt and all that, and he has still worked with them. And that's how the movement has remained strong. Now,
I want to ask Chigundu this question, because Agaba, I get your point, but Agaba is being unfair to the opposition, because when the opposition tries to rise, their heads are beaten. City Square is not accessible. You know, they are only allowed to operate within the city. They're not allowed to operate outside. You know what has happened? They are in Kisoro, they are beaten. They go to Soroti, they are beaten. So Agaba is now accusing them of, not doing anything. They are now in bed with the president. Chigun, for you, what do you think, for instance, is bringing that?
No, let me answer that before Chigundu comes in. He will respond to mine. They are not beaten. Failure to follow the law is going to cause that. You live in the United States. We had elections in 2024 here, right? Was it 2024 presidential elections, right? After Donald Trump was elected, I do not see anywhere where you find people, unless they are protesting, anywhere where people are holding rallies and they make it a business every day. You don't see that. But in Uganda, because people are not working from the day elections end to the next cycle of elections, there are activities that distract day-to-day lives of people. Why would you honestly, on a Monday, want to take a demonstration in a business area? If you go to Kololo or Airstrip, if you believe you have a following and people come there peacefully where you're not interrupting business, that's okay. That's okay. But if you're going to go in a business, central business district, and then people's businesses are destroyed, people's property is robbed, then I think there's something wrong. And we also saw it with NRM recently, nominations of their party bearers. People were robbing people on the streets, taking their things. So avoiding busy business places is not refusing the opposition to carry out their activities. But once elections are done, you either go to court, or if you want to have a demonstration, work with law enforcement. But if they tell you this is a busy place, please don't go, because not everybody in town subscribes to the NRM, not everybody in town subscribes to NUP. So that means you have to take in consideration other people's interests, and that's why we have law enforcement.
Okay, so what about if there was if the local councillor 3 or 2 or 1 chose to call a village meeting or an event down in Chandamukaka? Do they have to seek any kind of police approval for to put on such an engagement? No, they would just.
No, I think for security reasons, yes.
No, they don't. The practical reality is that if an LC chairperson chooses to hold a village meeting, an event, or whatever it is down there on the grassroots, they can just do it without any hindrance. They don't even have to engage a police approval in any way. But if any member of the opposition tries to even hold a soccer event, just bring youth to play a soccer game, they're likely to be met with some police force saying, "What are you're not supposed to be doing this here." It's not just happening in urban.
No, that's wrong.
It's also just happening in urban areas. It's happening everywhere. Bottom line is that the opposition in Uganda is not at liberty to mobilize, to assemble freely.
No, Mr. Chikun,
there's an element of what one would even go as far as saying suppression. There's no way they're going to be able to mobilize.
It's true. I want to be fair here. It's true there is oppression of the opposition to a certain degree. But I want you to tell me these parties just had their conferences, delegates conferences, and the rest held elections for their leaders. Opposition keeps saying they stop us from going up country doing this. Tell me one opposition party that had a country up other than the ruling party. Definitely they have money, they are in power, they are taking advantage of the resources at their disposals. But I also want you to go to the opposition and tell me that the opposition arranged for their delegates conferences in different districts and they were stopped. Many of them didn't have anybody to parade there. And even then, they were inviting people for cards at the head office. It's the parties that have decided to focus and concentrate in the central. Mr. Bijirwa of the Common Man's Party, I've been watching him on Kwezi Media. He has insisted, can we have a regional approach? Bobby Wine be in Buganda, Mujisha, can we go to the west? Maybe Bijirwa can be in the east, and others go elsewhere so that we can build from the grassroots. But he keeps saying that was rejected. But when everybody comes on TV everywhere, we are being stopped because you want to go downtown Kampala. But tell me anybody who has been in Mbarara, in Masindi, in Igulu, in the east, and that has happened. Because they are focused on one area, and that's where Mr. Museveni wants them to focus because he already lost the center a long time ago.
Agaba, again, we, when we discuss these guys, they don't hear, but we follow what goes on. When Bijirwa says that he would want people to take his mode, saying Mugisha Muntu remain in the West, so and so remain in the North. But you see, these are political parties. Political parties register to compete for power. You don't concentrate only in the East. You don't concentrate only in Uganda. You are allowed to go everywhere as a political party. Now, if Vichilwa wants people to go to his mode, then that means the political parties will eventually die.
Now, no. His reasoning was, we have to come together as opposition. He didn't say as a party, but as opposition. We agree. We say who's the best suited to be a leader to front as the leader of the opposition, given the current political landscape in the country, because there is no single party right now that can take on head-on Mr. Museveni and win him. So his reasoning was, we know this our politics is purely based on regions. Who's strong in this region? Because there is no way you're going to take Agaba Babigumira to the north to mobilize votes for you and get votes against Akena. There is no way. There is no one you're going to take to the west other than Mugisha Muntu to do that. But when we do that, we all come to the central, whether Bobby Wine or Mugisha Muntu is our leader, we all congregate there and say, okay, we've brought this, we've brought this, we've brought this, because you can form that alliance if you want to take power. But the opposition in Uganda does not have that kind of framework. Everybody wants to come on their own, and they are concentrated, all of them in one space like this. So when they come here, they tell us they've stopped us from mobilizing, from going here. But who goes out there to mobilize? Because Uganda is beyond central. That's what I'm trying to explain. So when they say we are beaten, we are denied, we are this, I don't know whether, because if you look at NUPU's most MPs are all in the central. What about if
as Chugundu said, the opposition in Uganda has not been allowed to traverse the entire country. Yeah. Now they are in the central, probably as we normally read and hear, because the central is everywhere. So you can allow them to operate. But the moment they leave how many kilometers outside Kampala, that's when the RDCs come out, the DPCs come out.
Even in the central, they're not allowed. They're just forcing it. This is why that infamous law was passed.
The political organizations bill.
I don't agree with that, because when Besigye was there, Besigye was able to go everywhere. And if you're saying opposition, we are seeing the Akenas, we are seeing these Bijiras running in the east. Nobody has stopped them from running. Akena is in the north. He comes to Kampala, speaks, goes campaigns. We saw the other day the northerners saying we don't want Balaros. That was rectified. So when one says that opposition is not allowed to go up country and campaign, when the very government can allow you to fly to the US, South Africa, and travel everywhere, I think that's being hypocritical. If they are stopping you from moving to the country to mobilize, why are they allowing you to? Let me give you an example. DP under Mao, unless it's a different standard, which we know he could be favored, he had his delegates conference in Imbarara. And it was okay. The fights were amongst the party members, not with government. It was with his members. So when one says that they've been stopped from moving beyond Kampala, I think that's wrong. It's only that the opposition is not organized amongst themselves to cover up the entire country. They've all focused on one central. Like Noop said, they want 100 MPs. And where are they getting these MPs from? They are looking at the central region. They are not looking at Gulu. They are not looking at Kabale. They are not looking at Masindi, anywhere. No, because then they made it clear they want 100 MPs. If you want to lead a country and you're telling the country I need 100 MPs, a country of almost 400 MPs, then you cannot accuse the government that, hey, we are stopping you from going here. So how are you going to get the 100 MPs if you've been denied to go all over the country? And they've not come back to say that our MPs are not being allowed to campaign in the constituencies we are targeting. You're saying I want 100, and they've let them go campaign in their constituencies. You've nominated your guys, and none of your guys has come and said that, guys, we are being stopped from campaigning. I'm not saying I don't support the opposition. The opposition raises important issues that are happening in the country, but what is lacking is organization that actually strengthens the NRM in power. That's my concern. You guys are looking at it like I'm against the opposition, but I'm looking at those weaknesses that have actually strengthened the NRM. If these guys were organized,
I
today
don't, I don't think anybody has said you're against the opposition, but we are just saying that the opposition, as Chubundu said, they have not been allowed to move freely.
Give me 3 locations the government has stopped them from going to. 3.
Oh.
Where we see that they were going here, they were told you can't go here, especially during this period of time.
No, Agawa, let's not go there. Yeah. Let's
not go there. I think we can spend the whole day.
I knew because you didn't have any locations.
No.
I knew definitely you aren't going to give me any.
Let's not go there. But just in just conclusion, where do we see, like now, people have they've picked the nomination forms and they are now in the field. So what do we see? Are we seeing Chigundu says he doesn't even think 95% will come? I saw people, predicting. Notable among them, we have President Museveni, we have Honorable Chaguranyi, Honorable Munyagwa, I think also Mpuga picked, Mugisha Muntu, they're all coming. So where do you see ourselves now in this field?
No, Museveni is going to win. It's very obvious.
Before we go to the win, but we are seeing after they have picked the nominations, are we seeing people going out to campaign? Are we seeing violent elections? Are we campaigns? Are we seeing peaceful ones? Where are you predicting?
Campaigns are already on. Museveni started. Yeah, campaigns are already on. People are campaigning. We know that Museveni has been going around the country, definitely is campaigning. He's taking advantage of his position as an incumbent. But even Bobby Wine is campaigning. You see him going around talking to different groups.
Let me rephrase my question, Agaba. For the viewers who are not Ugandans, when we talk about campaigns is when the Electoral Commission of Uganda says we have officially allowed campaigns. Now, the process we are in now is called expression of interest. So after expression of interest, that's when the campaigns will be allowed for only those who have
officially will be allowed.
And now this is an official channel, so we want to look at things where they are. Like after nominations, what is next is what I'm interested in. About Museveni winning, we cannot, this channel cannot say yes or no, we don't know. Because we always say the views expressed on this channel are for the ones saying them. But for our viewers who have tuned to this channel for the first time, what are you telling them after the 100 people have picked nomination papers? What do we see? Are we seeing 90% people like Chugun says dropping off? Or we can even see 50 coming back and they're all given vehicles?
I think after the nominations, a lot of people are going to drop out of the election. Definitely, they will not meet the bar like Ndugu Chigundu said. It's likely to reduce to a 2-race campaign, and there is likely to be some kind of violence.
When you say 2-race.
I mean, other people will be there campaigning, other candidates. Definitely, it's not going to be like only 2 candidates, but it's going to be about 2 candidates, 2 parties.
Those are the ones I'm looking for.
That's NRM and NOOP. Those are going to be the main competitors. And because of what we've seen before, we are likely to see some bit of violence definitely coming up because we've seen that before. We are seeing it on social media. A few young people may have to, become victims of that violence. We can no longer keep, for me, I never believed the military should be involved in elections or civil matters. But unfortunately, we are seeing it even our international partners who should have been advocating and defending us on that, using the military in their civil matters. Now they can't be the same people with that moral authority to tell the Ugandan government you can't use your military. That's why I worry that who's going to defend our people when the military descends on them, because even Europe cannot say, hey, you can't do that when you're not doing it to your other partner, because they did it before. So there's going to be that kind of resentment. I hope and pray that our leaders, our people back home are reading the trends, what's going on both local and internationally, so that they can keep calm and our people don't get hurt. Because it's a predictable situation. We all know where this is going because based on what is structured right now in these elections and what we've been doing, what we've been seeing following what has been happening, my biggest concern is our young people getting hurt and they're likely to get hurt because we know how brutal the forces are when it comes to these issues. But majority of these 100 are all going to drop out of the race. And whether Bobby Wine and his team are truly genuine opposition or not, we will see that in the elections. I would want to add this as a man, because remember how I came here, I was opposition, and up to now I believe Mr. Museveni should have retired for another member of the movement. Some of us support it because our parents fought alongside him to bring in good governance, but at the end of the day, when you do your part, you let other people also carry on from where you've or what you've done. But for me, my biggest concern is if genuinely, Bobby Wine is not true opposition that wants to bring in opposition, that's going to be a very big failure by many of us not having stopped that. Because when you look at people like Bongoya, who's still an active soldier, you look at Katana, who's still, they've never been dismissed.
Agaba, forgive me. For the interest of time, let's talk about that some other time. I want to go to Chugundu for his that one, and then I'll be coming back for you to conclude. Yes, Chugundu.
Your voice. You're muted.
I muted myself. So you're asking what is going to happen next? What should we do?
I'm looking at 100 people have picked nominations. What are we saying?
Yeah. They're gonna. That expression of a political statement, in my view, of the population, the society, saying, "Look, we can also engage with this. It's not like it's one particular person who should be, or a certain set of individuals ordained to be one."
Is it a confidence or no confidence in the current government?
It's a no confidence, obviously. It's a no confidence that, if they all believed in what was going on or what the current government is doing is okay, they would have just sat back and just let one person run. This is an expression of no confidence and a frustration because they have not experienced any change in the last 40 years. But in any case, they're not, like I said, the process is going to weed them out. We will have engaged with that expression and it's going to go away. We're going to come down to a set of the usual actors, Mr. Museveni and Bobby Wine and Gisha Montu and a few others. I end up on that ballot. It's going to be a crowded ballot, obviously, and you know who that benefits the incumbent. So but that's what I see. And the Electoral Commission is going to keep moving the goalposts, making changes, partly due to incompetence and maybe even interference. But that the program is going to keep shifting around, moving deadlines. All of that is, at the end of the day, is going to benefit the incumbent. That's what I see.
Yeah, and you didn't let me finish my point, which was...
I'm coming to you, Agaba, please. I'm coming to you. Do you see any alliances, Chugundu, any alliances?
I'll be shocked because the winds are against them. The incumbent is not interested in seeing them ally, come together, and he's going to actively undermine any efforts towards that. And they themselves very much have failed to come to the realization that they can only do it when they come together. But so as a result, because of the failure of the opposition to realize that, and the forces against them, who is the incumbent, who has no interest in seeing them come together, he would rather run against maybe 5 or 6. That way, there's a divided
vote a crowded ballot, and that favors him. So I don't see an alliance is coming.
Agawa, I you have what you want to say, but before you go to what you want to say, he predicts a crowded ballot paper. Are you able to tell me or the viewers the lineup? Quick, then you can go to what you want to tell us.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether the 90 candidates all come or 2 or 3 or 1. It's going to still end up a 2-battle race. It's going to be 2 people. Whether there are 100 of them on the ballot paper, that's actually not the issue, whether it's crowded or not, because I don't think there's any other candidate that has attracted so much attention like these 2 candidates right now that we can talk of. You stopped me from concluding my point, why I was coming up with that point, and why I was building that point when I spoke about people being hurt. If the credibility of these candidates truly is what you call me an analyst, when you look at the isolation of this opposition party in Uganda, because Besigye had a lot of support, when you look, let's start locally, look at the elite. Normally, the elite would come out those that don't support government, but everybody is very careful. Nobody has joined these guys. Even the elite are being fought out of that party. Then you go internationally. Europe stopped funding these guys. Is there anything they know that we don't know? When they travel here, nothing happens. Now, that brings into question when I said I don't want people hurt, because this is of Mwenda's experience. Remember when Mwenda was a writer, a lot of people would pass on information freely to him. And I'm not saying truly passed on this information to the government. They would confide in him government secrets and all that. People were not happy with the government inside. But today, when we look at his relationship with the government, then that brings to question, did he reveal his secret, his informants to the government to help government manage a situation? Because if government say new Minister X or a historical X is against you and has given this guy, they may not arrest him, but can they in a way isolate him, manage him, since they know that this guy does not have their interests? That's what brings me to the composition of NOP when I say, some of these people are still active soldiers. They never dismissed them. So in so doing, being close to this guy, is there critical information that ends up in the government hands? Who funds them? Who are the people behind it? Because we know there are people who fund these parties and are not known. There are people that are there. So this is my biggest question, is that we have a lot of people that are interested in change. One thing we must establish, all of us, that is undisputed. We want to see change. We want to see a transition to a new leader. But how do we do it without people getting hurt? So for me, that's why I have my suspicion. If Bobby today, I wanted to reach out to this group and sit with them and say, I have some money, I want to give you some money, maybe you guys do your activities. Does that information end up the other side? And if it ends up the other side, that endangers they might even not know. It endangers my reputation. There's rumor. I don't have confirmation. Besigye's phone got lost in that area where they were in meetings and stuff like that. But everybody was shocked when the government said they had his phone as part of the evidence they had lined up. So if when Besigye went to meet them and lost his phone, how did it end on the other side? Nobody has ever explained that. So those are some of the questions some of us who genuinely would want to see change, whether it's NRM, whether it's the opposition, but we want to see the country move forward under new, competent, able leadership. That's what we want without endangering people. And this is a reality. We may just look at opposition people running without doing any kind of critical analysis, and people end up getting endangered. We end up strengthening Mr. Museveni because he gets critical information. He knows exactly who's real opposition and who's just a joker because he gets information. Do you think, has anybody ever asked if Museveni was serious? We saw how much he monitored Besigye's income and all that to try and fail him. But here you have a group where the president, these are issues, you may rubbish them, but they're very critical. This is a guy who lets these guys do whatever they want to do. Whenever a crime is committed, he never goes for the top leadership of the party. He goes for the cadres, the foot soldiers. So what's wrong? Yet these foot soldiers are being led by these people to do what they do, but they never arrest them. We never hear Mr. Museveni has stopped their funds from coming into the country the money has been blocked. They've stopped them from doing what they want to do. So there are certain questions that come up. Anybody who's genuinely wanting to support opposition has those questions. Why haven't opposition leaders confidently reached out and say, hey guys, can we come together and form this? Why has there been that resistance? You have to ask yourselves these questions if you're serious, you want power. And that's where Mr. Museveni beats these people. He has his net.
You can conclude, Bobby, then I will pose the last question to you. And
So
then
in conclusion, I'm warning people, be careful, because you may not know who you're dealing with. There is a lot of, Museveni has a very wide spy network, and it has infiltrated all these parties. Museveni is not out to hurt anybody, but at the same time is out to protect his presidency. So if you're not careful, you will be hurt. In these elections, I'm asking Ugandans, keep calm, be careful, like the Bagandas say.
Before you conclude, I asked Chugun the same question I'm going to ask you. In these nominations, are you seeing any alliances? Because you don't want to predict, because I thought you'd tell me, I expect President Museveni, I expected Honorable Chaguranyi, I expected Honorable Barat Munyagwa on the crowded list that Chugun has mentioned. And then, do we see any alliances? What?
I watch a lot of Munyagwa, all these politicians in Sereko and the rest. From the way they are talking, I don't see any alliance, because according to the opposition parties, at least some of the guys I watch every day while I'm at work, I watch these podcasts, they all claim that Noop thinks these guys were formed to fight them. Instead of focusing on the candidate at hand, they are all now hitting each other. You came to fight us. You came to do this. Why do we fight you? You don't have power. So I don't really see any kind of alliances amongst the opposition, which is very unfortunate. I think it's bad politics, to be honest, in our country. At this time in our political history, I wouldn't expect to see how fragmented we are. We should be a united force, telling Mr. Museveni, thank you so much. You've done great for the country, but I think together we are coming to offer an alternative to our country. But that has not happened, and it is to his advantage. So it's in Mr. Museveni's favor. And I believe he gets good intelligence from this. We don't know whether everybody is genuine. That's why I'm very cautious that these parties are coming up. People will look and say they want iPod money and the rest and stuff like that. Even a party that knows won't get one member of parliament. So what is the goal of all these people coming up and they have no agenda? So we have to sit as mature adults who love our country and ask ourselves, what's going on? Is this one man really smarter than all of us? So those are some of the questions we have to sit and ask ourselves.
Both of you have denied my viewers the prediction. I wanted to see who would appear on the list. However, 2 weeks from now, we'll return. And I believe, the 90 days wouldn't have it. Because we're interested in seeing who has brought the nomination, whatever. So when we come back, we shall be discussing it. But as we conclude, gentlemen, yesterday, finally Friday, President Trump met President Putin of Russia. And most of you, Chugun, you mentioned it in your highlights. And the meeting took place. But for me, before it took place, President Trump had clearly said that he expected less than 25% of the outcome. But he went ahead and he met his counterpart. But of course, on the sidelines, analysts were wondering why, if this meeting concerned Ukraine, why wasn't President Zelensky invited? And then what would the outcome of the meeting be? Whatever, you can see that the welcome was good. Everything, the choice of the place to meet Alaska is connected to Russia. There's so many things, historical things, and that have happened about this meeting. But finally, they met, and I want to hear from you, Chigundu. Were you disappointed? Were you spot on?
No, not disappointed. I think it went down as I would have expected. This was a charm expedition. Mr. Putin likes to, Mr. Trump thinks he can use his persona and his charm again to move Putin into a certain direction. Putin is playing a very long game. He's very stone-headed. He's pursuing something for Russia. He feels like Russia, historically, there was a mistake that led to Russia losing its global position and the empire being reduced to small as it is. So, and he feels like he can correct that historical mistake. This was them coming together. Everybody think this one, the host thinking I could bring him over here, give him this meeting, get him out of isolation. Maybe that will soften him up towards giving me the opportunity to win a Nobel Peace Prize, right? But then Putin thinks, okay, let me come here. I can charm this guy and continue dividing him away from the whole European continent, which is standing behind Zelensky, and see what that happens. It went down as the way I expected it was going to go. There was no disappointment for me. There was no deal, of course. It didn't come out. I didn't think Putin was going to come to Alaska and hand Trump a deal. No, Putin that's not how Russians operate. He's going to string him along, playing along, and in the hopes that as he continues pursuing his ground game and taking territory and all of that. So not disappointing for me. It went the way I expected.
President Trump had threatened that if it don't go well, he would leave Putin alone. Now, did you find out?
No. He has actually, as you can see, he himself, he said, I'm going to ramp up the game if he doesn't get. Now he's saying that, oh, I think I understood him better. Maybe he's moving his post. It's not. I expected all of that. This was just blaster. He was just not going to do anything much. This was just. They all like the big stage and the planes flying around, and he's a strong man too.
Chikunda, I know you have a fly on the wall. Was there a luncheon? Because I know they moved in the Semuka, but was there a luncheon? Like the one, you remember? Did they have lunch?
I don't know. I was traveling. I didn't get to look at everything. I was traveling and not here, but it went the way I expected.
I go to Agava. Agava, you know, is Agava. Finally, these guys meet. What do you say about their meeting?
First and foremost, we didn't know what the agenda was. Nothing was shared that this is what they were going to talk about. I think it was between the two leaders, and Zelensky is coming in here on Monday. Hopefully something comes out of it. I think Trump may be presenting what he discussed with Putin to Zelensky and see what comes out of it. But one thing you have to understand is that Putin is a very, very smart, consistent man. He knows what he wants, and he has been consistent with that. And this is a man who has been is formerly KGB for more than 15 years, and he understands exactly what his colleague wants. And that's why when he came here, he played what his colleague has been asking for. So there's no deal that was made as per what Trump had told the world, what he expected. Though Trump was also smart on this, he said there is likely not to be a deal. So he was smart, he preempted that. He knew maybe the guy is likely not to give something. But what is important, what Putin wanted and what Trump handed him so easily is, you know, Putin has been isolated for a while. Now, Trump gives him that breath of fresh air by giving him that international stage, like ushering him back into the international community. So you bring him back, you give him that breathing fresh air, then you end up with no deal. Because for me, my thinking about this issue would be, if you really want to be fair and bring this to an end, I think you have to consider all the stakeholders. This should have included Zelensky and Putin as the main ingredients of this meeting. Then call the Europeans and Americans that are stakeholders that have been funding this war, sit at a round table, and everybody speaks freely and openly. That's how you find solutions. But when you invite this guy and talk to him when the world knows where your side is, you've spoken favorably of the guy, and then you guys go into a closed meeting, and then you come out and say it was a progressive meeting, it was good, productive. And then when you invite Zelensky, what are you going to tell him? What did the other guy say? Does Zelensky trust you that you're going to represent those facts as they are? Or is he going to be coerced in accepting what the other guy wants? So, and Zelensky seems, like you said, more leaning towards Europe as allies than USA right now, because he thinks US is pro-Russia. So as much as Zelensky is coming here, he's also very, very cautious of what is going to be told, because Russia invaded him. He did not invade Russia.
Yeah, but Agaba, let's be fair to probably both gentlemen. Imagine a meeting where there was Zelensky, Putin, and Trump. Remember the meeting, they had two of them, how it ended? And imagine if there were three of them. For the first time meeting, how do you think it would have happened?
No, you see, when you call such a meeting, we know that meeting did not go bad because of Zelensky. We all let's all face it. This guy was called to be intimidated into submission. And unfortunately for the hosts, he said no. He stood his ground. So they branded him wherever they wanted to brand him. That's why you see when he went to Europe, immediately he was warmly welcomed and treated with the dignity and the respect he deserved. So you cannot say that meeting ended badly because of Zelensky. It ended badly because of what the hosts wanted to achieve, to beat him into the corner, which he said no. Had in a meeting like this where you're inviting all this, the world is interested, I think we can have better moderators. You don't make the person who has already shown bias as a moderator. We can find moderators and say, fine, we have this meeting. What are your issues? What are your issues? So everybody in a more civil way presents their issues. But if you bring a biased person to moderate, it's like if you have a biased speaker, you're going to get little done from the opposition. So once you find that common ground, then you may not conclude that very day, but it gives you an understanding face to face to know this guy. You give people time to go back and reflect and discuss with their different parties, and then find a final day where you come and say, okay, either this is doable or it's not doable. If it can't be done, what do these other stakeholders, US, Europe, then do to support these guys come to a conclusion? And Zelensky has never refused to meet with Putin. Like he has said, you cannot have a meeting without Ukraine. But when you give conditions, this guy must get out before we can talk. You don't decide for Ukraine. Russia does not decide for Ukraine. US does not decide for what Ukraine people want. It's the Ukrainian people that decide who their leader is. So those are unfair conditions. It's like Ukraine saying, for us to have peace, Putin has to leave power. That's not a condition that I think even me I would accept.
Let's say what Chibondo, imagine if the three men were in the same room, what do you think would have happened? You're muted.
You're muted.
It would have gone off the rails. It would have become a shouting match. They all not only have strong egos, but there's a lot at stake here, particularly for the Ukrainian side. Okay, so no, I wouldn't. I think this was not, to the extent that this was a preparatory step towards maybe a possible resolution to this conflict. Yes. If it requires, and I'm sure Putin required it, you have to meet me first. You can't just summon me here to meet with the other. He looks at him as a nothing, a comedian. He looks at Ukraine as his Russian territory. So it wasn't going to work. He had to give him this. But the question is, what did he get out of it? that's where, Bobby and others are question. What
I
did
think we are being
he had to
unfair
give him
to
this?
Zelensky.
There was no way they would come first time, all of them in one room.
We are being unfair to Zelensky. Other than Washington, the Oval Office, I've not seen Zelensky anywhere else where he has had a shouting match. Even in the White House, he did not shout. He tried to defend his position.
He did not, but he
Yeah,
would have come because passions are high. Remember,
yes, definitely there were going to be debates, there were going to be arguments, but I think at their level, these are top world leaders. They've been in more advanced conflict situations. I'm sure they've been in situation rooms. They've learned how to handle situations. And a situation like this, where he has been in Europe, and I'm sure Zelensky has been in many conferences where he has been pushed to accept the position of Russia, and we've not seen him react. And his cause is real. He's right. I mean, he's the guy who's being here attacked. His land is being taken. His country is being split, and the guy is saying no. So Putin coming and it's like me coming to your house and I want to order you around because I'm rich and powerful. Maybe I have connections. So at the end of the day, as any advocate for justice, rule of law, we are saying you guys come together in a room, because there has never been an opportunity like that for them where we can see how they react. And can you speak to the world? Because the world right now is involved. You're telling Russia you can't sell your oil. India is affected.
Ultimately, they should be able to get to that. They should be able to get to that. But as a first step, this, they have not met before.
But you see, the challenge
since the conflict began. So you can't.
The challenge is the statements that have been made in Washington before, even if it were you, would you expect fairness from such an environment? Would you?
But what Chukun is trying to say, we saw the meeting that didn't come out well, the Zelensky-Trump. Yesterday we saw the Trump-Putin, which we can't say went well or bad, but Chukun says that at least now the ground is being leveled. So in other words, he's predicting that next time after Zelensky, probably these three gentlemen can meet. But for
then what happened to the initial one that was held in the Middle East that was our Secretary of State met with the Russians, then involved Zelensky? It collapsed. It collapsed because of the same reason. So that's why, for me, I believe the initial one, however hot, however disruptive it may be, bring these people in the same room. Once they have that heated up speed, because we're not expecting this to be resolved in one day, one meeting, then they can go back and then internally sit and say, okay, we saw this guy, this is what this guy wanted, this and this. But now they are going through different parties, and we know these different parties all are, Putin does not trust Europe, right? He knows Europe is pro-Ukraine. And then also Ukraine knows US is pro-Russia. So if you're doing things the way you're doing them right now without these guys face to face, even Europe may not trust what US is going to tell them about what came out of this meeting. You get, because already US proposals have been rejected before. So what makes us think that when US decides again this time without transparency, that the rest of the world is going to accept and say, yeah, this is the resolution of this conflict. So unless these all parties come out in an open and sit and discuss, there will be disagreements. There could be even arguments. But they have to start somewhere where they come face to face and say, people are dying, countries are being destroyed. Where do we move forward? Why did even this war start? Not me coming talking to you, I want this land, I want this, tell him to concede this land. Then you go tell this guy says, no, I'm not conceding this, I'm not conceding that. Then you don't end the...
Because of time, we may not discuss this thing. But I want you to tell our viewers, Zelensky meets Trump on Monday. What do you think the environment is going to be, especially after Trump meeting Putin? Chikunda, I begin with you. I'll conclude, and then, I mean, it's taken long, but I think it is worth it. So Chigundu, these two guys are meeting on Monday. You remember, I want you to look at the first time they met. Now he has met Putin, okay? Now he's meeting Zelensky again. So,
yeah, and even since the first time they met, they have had the opportunity to hash through everything, and I think this time I expect it to be more respectful. I expect it to be more cordial, because Trump, remember again, is looking to move these to soften him up. So, because he has now found out that this man has a stance, He has his ground, and he's holding on to it. He's just now going to be intimidated, like maybe perhaps the first time was. Hey, you didn't thank us. You never thanked us, and
Putting on a suit.
yeah. So all of that is going to be off the table now. Yeah, because this man has even strong allies in Europe. Okay, and support, political support, and goodwill around the world. So we're not going to go back to that disrespect. You a small boy, you get out of here. No, I expect it to be a little more respectful, more cordial, and what is going to come out of it again? I still see preparation. It is preparatory. This is what the other guy is telling me. Do you think you can move on this? This man is going to say no. It's still that negotiation. I don't expect huge announcements out of it either.
Agaba, I know you follow these things so much. Do we see the press being invited in? Are we going to have that one-on-one talk? Because now, we've seen what happened the other time. What are we seeing this time?
This is very sensitive. I'm not going to speculate because I also don't know the outcome of Mr. Trump and Mr. Putin's discussion. But my hope is they find a lasting resolution to the conflict. And this time I pray and wish the U.S. government shows Zelensky more grace given what the man has been through with his country instead of the arrogance we saw when he first came here. And also to the U.S. government, if they could say less in the press regarding this, especially what we've been seeing prior to Putin's coming, where you're saying Zelensky is a good guy, but at the end of the day, this and this, those kind of things, like try to undermine him, that will help, I think, create an environment that is conducive for a discussion. But every time you go to the press, you try to bring this guy down, belittle him, definitely that makes him a little more, become more, what do I say, resistant to whatever proposals that you may be putting forward to him. So I cannot speculate right now that it's going to be this, it's going to be that. We pray and hope Mr. Trump succeeds in ending this conflict, this European conflict in our modern day time.
Thank you so much. I know we've taken a lot of time. I want to thank you guys, but Chukwu, your parting shot. I know UNAA is coming in 2 weeks. I don't know if they'll meet again. Uganda North America Association. They are meeting the next 1 or 2 weeks. Any parting shots, any announcements, Chigundo?
Well, Uganda North America Association is the umbrella organizations under which all of us Ugandans assemble, gather here in North America.
Can you tell our viewers that Tukikube this week, the media, we are going to be there and we are going to make sure that we give them what they want?
we'll be on site and we'll engage and we'll try to gather the news and tell you what happened there. But in the meantime, it happens annually, every year, at what we call the Labor Day weekend here. So that's the last few days of August or the very first days of September. This time it is happening.
And that's 31st, right?
Yeah, so this time it is happening in Louisiana. And so that's going down. We'll see what happens. A lot, the program is out there. There's the technology forum. There is a political forum. Its political forum is back. I think it hasn't, there's been a pause to this for a while, but this time I see it on the program. And the usual entertainment and some keynote speeches. So we're looking forward to that, as always.
Now, yes, the keynote ones, I saw one which has almost becoming controversial, the invitation of Sam Mayanja, the minister.
Sam Mayanja was not invited, he's not keynote. Sam Mayanja was a guest speaker. I shouldn't say guest, he was announced as guest speaker. And for the 2 previous times, he's been here and speaking in the land forum, right? So now
the reason why I brought you in is the resistance is coming from there's a section of part of Uganda where it's not, rhyming. People here were saying, why would you bring such a guy here? And when you mentioned the speakers.
Yeah, people yeah. So the questions came up when this time people noticed that he's an invited guest. Like I said, this was not the first time. He was in Dallas, Texas in 2023, again, as a speaker in the Land Forum. So, but this time, several members of this diaspora community noticed that he's invited as a guest speaker, not keynote, but guest speaker. And they raised brought it up in different ways up to the leaders. I don't know where the decisions have made around it, but yes, this became a concern for particularly the Uganda people living here who are members and non-members of the Uganda North America Association, saying, hey, this man has spoken several times disrespectfully to our Kabaka. He shouldn't be invited here, shouldn't be given a platform to talk to us. So that is what you are alluding to. And I have looked at the program. I don't see the Land Forum on there. So, but again, I don't know if that will change at any one time, but at this point in time, I don't see the Land Forum on there. I don't know what decisions were made around that, but yeah.
So maybe you think they could have listened to the voices and dropped it?
I as Mukungu wa Kabaka would hope so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, but in the meantime, the other thing I wanted to, as I conclude, was the Episcopal consecration and installation of the bishop-elect, right, which is set for Friday, September 5th in Louisiana. It's going to be in a huge state gym called Nichols State University. It's a gym called Stopper Gym at the Nichols State University. They realized that this is a big a deal that they just couldn't do it in the cathedral because there wasn't going to be enough seating capacity for all interested parties. So they moved it to a gym at a university. So it's going to be huge. It's going to be followed by some other follow-up masses where the Ugandan community of Michigan, the choir, is going to be singing. So huge delegation kind out of the Catholic community of Michigan going to Louisiana to represent us. Kudos to them. And hopefully many other Ugandans will show up and show support. It is significant.
I mean, this may be off topic, but what does that mean to us as a country, Uganda? Bishop, a Ugandan bishop.
It's not off topic. It is, first of all, he's one of our own. He's born and raised in Uganda, right? Went to school in Uganda, and he's risen up to leading this whole, to where being elected bishop here in the United States. We take pride. At the bottom line, it means we are being recognized. Our clergy is being recognized as potential to lead, even outside Uganda. Okay.
We actually, in addition to that, we're also likely to have New York, the biggest city in the world, as a Ugandan mayor, born mayor. Yes, it's also a good advertisement for the country, and we are very proud of that as a country. I wanted to add that.
Yeah. Continue as you with your attention.
My conclusion, I'm just responding to him about Mayanja coming. Personally, I know Mayanja. When I first came here, Mayanja gave me the recommendation later when I was first visiting back in the day when he was still with Eric Arhanga law firm. I find him a very nice man, but he has a job to do that is very complicated. And unless we Africans stop thinking emotionally and become strategic, we are going to remain the way we are. We're going to remain poor, and we're going to remain isolated. Because my reasoning, if I'm going to attach it to a kingdom, when I have an interest in Buganda say I have land in Uganda as an individual. That land is not for the Kabaka. That's my land. And people forget that the Baganda sometimes think that Uganda is about them. Uganda runs about them. Uganda is bigger than Buganda. I'm being honest here. So they have to understand that the king is political, whether they like it or not, because that's how when we got independence, he was the head of the government. Then at the end of the day, he got conflict with the central government, and that has lived on today. No, just let me finish about.
No, I just want to ask you a question. Are you are you still concluding? Because you remember,
yes, I'm concluding about what he said that him as a Muganda.
No, what I mean. Just a minute ago, wait. I know Chikond is going to reply to you.
Yeah, I know it's coming. I know it's going to come for me. But so what I want to tell them is that the king is highly respected in Uganda, and is part of our political fabric. The fact that he heads an institution that is very influential in Uganda. So for Mayanja coming to UNA is not only serving Buganda. He can disagree with the kingdom because the kingdom is one of the biggest stakeholders in the Department of Government he leads. But if you shut out a guy like that, instead of listening to him, then you're going to remain in the same situation. Buganda is going to remain in the same situation, misfiring. Listen to the man who's making decisions and say, okay, maybe this is not right. But when your reasoning is he has been disrespectful to Buganda, what about a Mutoro, a Munyoro, an Acholi, and a Muchiga? How do they get issues of their land addressed? Because Mayanja is a national minister. So I think these Bagandas who are advocating for him not to come, I think should be a little bit more broader. They should have a broader mind, listen to him, debate with him, make proposals, and see if government is going to accept. Instead of saying he has been disrespectful, we don't want him. That's being shallow and closing out very important information, because this man is a decision maker, is the Minister of Lands, and land is very critical to Buganda. So people in the diaspora have invested a lot also in land. They would want to know how safe their property is back home. You're speaking to the horse's mouth. So to me, I think it's very important that he comes, speaks to the diaspora, so that people who have vested interests can also learn and hear. If they have feedback, give it to him. Because if you bring a Kabaka person who you want to listen to, he's not a decision maker. He's going to talk about Buganda. And Buganda is not the country. So that said, I wanted to correct what he said, that the Baganda are not happy the way he has been talking about Buganda, and he should be removed off the list. I think that's being shallow-minded. So on the part of UNA, sometimes I think UNA is a very, very good vehicle for most of us in the diaspora. We have so many of these things. I hear Chigezi, I hear PLU, you have UNOP and all that. I think if we organized UNA could become a very, very useful advocate, like a diaspora group, to work with both the institutions of Uganda, other institutions, government, on how to bring members together with one purpose, to see how we relate to where we came from. Because UNA cuts across all ethnic groups. It's diverse. But I've never known, other than us congregating and people talking to us and going back home and a few individuals start projects here and there, what the community benefits from UNA. I've been in this country for now more than 10 years. No UNA member has ever reached out to me despite being on different groups, unless maybe you pay. Then are we members by default, or we have to subscribe? And what are the activities that they do in the diaspora that a person in Washington, not Washington, D.C., Washington, maybe Utah, benefits from this group? Or it's a Boston kind of group, members who are in Boston that benefit from this using, and I've been arguing with members on the group, stop using us as a diaspora to selfishly benefit from back home, because a lot of people go back home, I'm the head of this group, I'm this and this, I can influence, when actually most of us are not in part of these groups. So UNAA is one of that platform where we can elect members, where we can all come together and know as Ugandans we are represented. Now we are having this convention in where right now times are not good, because we know what ICE is. You saw what happened in California when the governor was talking. ICE was out at the conference to get guys. So we have to also be careful. We have to make sure as we organize this, we prepare our members and be able to protect our members as they come for UNAA. We don't want to mislead them into a trap, because these guys also go where they know there are groups, where there are many groups of people. So other than that, I think UNAA is a very good idea. But poorly mismanaged. And at one time, I was told there were two functions, They had split because of disagreements. I don't know whether they've reunited to form one Ugandan platform. I'm not aware of that.
You may be wondering why I'm laughing. I will make sure that whoever you want, we bring. So, Chigund, we have a job. We can always bring either the secretary for UNAA. We can bring the president, and they'll answer all the questions. So, Agaba, thank you for that. But let's see how we can get these people. We have them, and we'll be interviewing them, because our viewers need to know that, yes, these are the panelists, but we shall be once in a while bringing in people. Like when you want to know what happens in UNAA, we bring them on the hot seat, and you'll ask, what have you done? Accountability. Why? That kind of stuff. So
I think that's better. It adds more flavor to the whole talk, rather than some of us just resigning and say, Echochaba about Boston, they run their thing. But once we bring people to answer these questions, then it becomes, I think, more involving and...
No, we will do that one.
UNAA is a member-based organization, and its members have interests. It started with certain sort of objectives. All of that has been expanded numerous times throughout those different campaigns over the years. People have always asked the same questions like you're asking, and I've had those who are running for offices go through all of that. What are the objectives? Why was this organization started? We could sit here the whole day trying to litigate that again, but we don't. That's not why we gathered here. But at the end of the day, me as a member of the organization, but I also when this whole exchange comes about, my response is simple. As a Mkungu Wakabaka, when I hear my people expressing dissatisfaction and complaint, and if I see the leaders of the organization, to which many of them are members, responding, I can only say that's good for me. That's not to suggest that only their interests should carry the day in this umbrella organization, because this is an umbrella organization for all Ugandans. But when what they are asking of their leaders is responded to,
Now, Mukulu Chigu, now you say you're a member. Is it possible to have Mr. Walusimbi automatically, whoever represents us in government, as a member of UNAA executive? Because as members in the diaspora, we've had a lot of questions. As much as Babi, I become a citizen, we want someone who's when I go back home, do I have to pay for a visa? Because many of us, despite changing that, we still contribute home a lot in terms of...
What you want to do is come to the convention. These people will be there.
All of them are going to be there. And we are going to look for all those guys. Even the ambassador will make sure that we have whatever we want. So Agaba, prepare your questions. This team will have so many questions to anybody who will be there. You'll talk to anybody you want, including the Mayanjas. All those guys will be there. So let's see how we can talk to them once we are there and have. But in a conclusion way, I want to say thank you, gentlemen. I see it's been like 2 hours. Jesus, I don't know.
That's been a long one.
Just a long one. It's like whenever we meet, we think we're meeting for 30 minutes, but it becomes 2 hours. So, Chigunda, as you stop the recording, I want to thank you, the panelists and the viewers. Whenever we take long, it's because of the issues, and we want people to, because Agaba represents a certain section of people. Chibundu represents a certain section of people, and others were not represented. So we can't exhaust all that we have, but we shall also be bringing in other people once in a while. So what we ask you, stay tuned. Every 2 weeks, we are here to discuss issues as they appear in the media. So thank you very much, and it has been Agaba Babi Gumira, all the way from Indiana. Chigundu, the CEO of Tukikube Media, who is everywhere. The other day was in Michigan, I was in Pennsylvania.
The traveler, call him the traveler.
And I don't know which money, taxpayers' money. Which money? Do you use Uganda money? Do you use our money?
Some people have said, yeah, I've heard that too. Oh my God. Yeah, but as always, so
jokes aside, we are happy, and let's meet next time. Maybe Chigundu. They can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Yeah. Please, we appreciate that our increasing viewership. This conversation will be available in YouTube. We ask you to give us that. Click on the bell, subscribe, comment. Comment. That is how we are going to know what your thoughts are. Your comments are the most welcome. Tell us, give us your feedback. We'd love to hear it.
And they should also know that we don't know it all. If we are wrong, let them correct us. We are here to learn from them as well. Our intentions are just to make sure that we share ideas that make us better people as a group,
And for you, Agaba Babi, I have a comment from your friend Dennis Chavago. I will tell you off air what he told me to tell you. But guys, bring those comments. You can come to inboxes and we shall always convey. So
I think you already told me. We laughed about it. He's a good guy. I think we already spoke about it.
Bye-bye, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Yes, ate bwembanga mugenda ku mikolo ng'egyo nga mwagala okufuna ku bwambalo obwakabingo obwo mbaga nga muzikoledde mu Uganda munoonye kuba naffe aba Angie's Creations. Angie Creations bakola obwambalo buno obwakabi. Tobeera ku mukolo ne gutanyuma weefunira akambalo. Angie Creations bajja kukolako buli kimu kyonna ky'otaaga. Nti bukyalubanga lwa Mindi omusumba Tom balaba mugerwa owa Mutunde Christian Fellowship agenda kubeera wano mu Chicago tumali naku 3 namba kulungano lwaite Let My People Go agenda kubeera wali ndokutandika n'ekuzo mwezi 29 paka nga 31 omwezi ogwa August wali ku Holiday Inn Chicago Northwest Crystal Lake Convention Center mujje mufune